What's up, everybody, and welcome to Growing Up Gaming, your weekly podcast where we meet a new person of the internet to discuss their childhood with gaming and how it inspired their lives today. My name is Mitch Power. Again, thank you guys so much for returning each and every week to the show. Hopefully you subscribed on iTunes or Google Play, or you found us on Facebook, or you found us on YouTube. Either way, however you're listening to the show, I greatly appreciate it. Each and every week, you guys returning, you guys sending me all the love on Twitter, lumping me with all those very nice gentlemen saying I should be followed or you should listen to the show, and everybody who's out there, I really appreciate that. This week on the show, we have our guest. His name is Frank Sizemore. I met this man on Twitter through the magic of everybody on Twitter. Basically, there's a lot of very cool people in the podcast community there, so I asked him to be on the show, and he was a very nice gentleman and said, of course, he'd love to share his story. If you guys want to share your story just like he did, go ahead and send me a tweet at MitchPower1116 on Twitter, or at the podcast Twitter page, which is at GUG Podcast on Twitter. Without further ado, let's get things started with Frank Sizemore. Do you remember what initially got you started playing games? Do you remember if it was a family member, friend, kiosk at a store, what it was that got you started?
When I was 3 years old, I was living with my grandparents they were babysitting me for most of the time. And my grandmother pulled out this dusty old Intellivision. And that's what I got started with my gaming on. I only remember really one game that I played on that, and that was Shark. It was a game where you played as a fish, and you ate smaller fish to get bigger so you could eat bigger fish. And I used to play the heck out of that as a kid, and that's probably why I remember that as the only real game that I played before getting like an actual console, not from like way before I was born.
Right. I love how Shark, like I've mentioned this before, but like a television, Atari, all these games were like just basic ass names. It's like Shark, or like obviously things like Pitfall and Pac-Man, but then you had games that were just like baseball, just generic as hell. It's just like, but again, like, and of course the box art was way awesome, but of course the graphics weren't like that because they couldn't really be like that. But So Shark, have you gone back and play it and like see if it's still a good game at all?
So I don't necessarily. So I don't do much emulation. That's something that maybe I get into later. So I haven't really had the resources to go back to go and do that. But Shark does have the modern day equivalent called Agario, which I play a lot.
Gotcha. So at least you still enjoy that game and just kind of have evolved from that. So that's good. That's one thing that I want to do is go back and like kind of play some of those early games to see if they still hold up, because sometimes some of those games hold up really well and then sometimes they don't. So that's always a fun thing to go back and explore, because your mind likes to play that awesome nostalgia trip where you're like, that game was the shit. You go back and it's not like at all.
I can't imagine that I go back and hold that Intellivision controller and think, oh gosh, this is. I can't imagine me thinking that's a good thing now. It was a very strange thing, but I didn't know it at the time because I didn't know any better.
Right. I mean, you just got presented with something and then you were like, hey, let's check this out and kind of go from there. I mean, how are you supposed to know better when you're that young? Like, how old were you?
I was like 3 or 4 years old.
Right. So, I mean, what else are you supposed to know? There's no, like, plethora of game stores. There's no internet. What are you supposed to know? You're supposed to just see what's in front of you, what's presented, and just go, well, I guess that's what video games are. Like, what else do you have options? So, did she say how she had it? Like,
so it was my dad's console when he was a teenager. So it was just laying around, and she was like, I don't have she was like, what can I throw at him to keep him busy? So it was
keep him occupied.
Yep. So that was it.
That makes sense. So obviously, like, you're dad play games and stuff. She hung on to it. Did eventually, like, do you remember your dad playing games, like, when you were younger or anything, or was that kind of like a thing he got and he's like, that's cool, I'm over that, I'm just moving on to other things?
Oh, absolutely. He used to play games quite a bit around me and probably played games that I shouldn't have been watching. I distinctly remember being scared shitless of, I'm sorry, can I say that?
Yes, you're good.
I was scared.
Yeah, no worries.
I was pretty scared when he was playing Silent Hill 2. When I think I was about like, I'm gonna say 7 or 8 years old, and that was probably too much for me back then. I used to watch him play Doom, which was a lot of fun. Yeah, and he played Halo with us. It was fun. Me and my younger brother, he played with us.
That's awesome.
It was cool.
Yeah, and he played Halo with us.
That's cool, at least that, you know, especially when you have a parent that's encouraging like that, because they don't see it as that thing that preoccupies my kid from having fun. Like, they realize that, you know, this is fun and this is something that you guys can do together and everything. So that's always cool. Nothing wrong with that. What progressed from you playing with it in television and everything? Did you just play with it at your grandma's house? Like, was it basically the thing at her house to keep you busy while you were over visiting?
Yes, it was. That was pretty much it. And to be honest, I lived with her a lot. Like, there were a lot of times where I would just like be there for days and days, and like, it's just how it was and how the living situation had to be because of this, just how schedules lined up.
It's just how it was.
I mean, I was in the same boat where my grandma's house was awesome, so I just wanted to stay over there all the time. And like, apparently my parents didn't care to say no. They were just like, sure, whatever. So I used to stay over there all the time. She had a Nintendo. I had my own room. You know, like the guest room was basically my room. But yeah, like, we would sit there and, you know, the funny thing is like when she had her games that she played, I had my own games. But like, her jam was always Tetris, Dr. Mario, Pinbot, like puzzle games, stuff like that. I just remember seeing her play like Dr. Mario and being amazed. I was like, how the fuck are you so good at this game? This is incredible. Of course, my dumb brain can't process, you know, setting up this piece of the puzzle to land here when this thing, you know, I'm just dumb. I'm a dumb kid. I don't think of those things. But yeah, I mean, that was always awesome, going to your grandma's house and just being like, cool, at least I got that one thing that's there. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. What progressed going forward from there then? So, what, obviously I'm assuming, well, actually, yeah, what was kind of the progression from there?
Well, it actually kind of splintered off in a lot of different directions. I think I got a PlayStation 1, and then maybe not even a year later, I got a Game Boy Advanced. And also, in between all that, I used to play some old PC games like Age of Empires and stuff like that as a kid. But yeah, it just splintered off, and I enjoyed a lot of different types of gaming experiences.
But yeah,
your dad had the PC, like, that was the one thing I never got into as much, was the PC gaming, only because we didn't have a computer. We didn't have a computer that was powerful enough to do half of that stuff. So obviously, once the internet became a thing, we were like, hey, computers are cool. But before then, I didn't really play much on that. Was your dad pretty tech savvy, or was he into the game? Like, did he ever stop gaming, or did he kind of like get a PC and was like, I'm going to use this to play games, or what was that like?
So he has slowed down recently. Like, he just turned 45 this year. So he, like, I'd say within like the past 5 years, he's definitely slowed down a lot on his gaming, especially since I moved out.
I'd say within
and like, but he used to like build his own computers,
especially since I moved out.
Like he'd have me like there helping him and stuff. It was a cool thing to watch, just building a rig. And he primarily played PC, but he also played Xbox 360 with us when it was time for that.
Yeah, he primarily.
That's also another thing I find funny too, is you went from Intellivision to like PS1 and Game Boy. Like, that's a really big jump. That's like, look what cavemen played with, and then look at all this cool shit now.
Yeah, I remember I used to play a lot of those PS1 demo discs, and then I'd tell my grandma which ones I liked, and she was very generous. I played a lot of Spyro and Crash Bandicoot. That's just what I grew up with on PlayStation. And then, of course, Pokemon kept me occupied on the Game Boy to keep me quiet in the car.
That's just what I grew
Yeah,
up with on
that was
PlayStation.
literally.
And of course, Pokemon kept me occupied
It
on the
took
Game Boy
over
to keep
me as
quiet in
well.
the car.
Like I mean, I had a PS1, so I mean, the demo disc thing, especially when you don't get games on a regular basis, demo discs were basically your life, and it was awesome to make sure that you get the new demo disc, and you were like, oh man, what new games are on this? Sometimes it was a dud, sometimes it was the greatest demo disc you ever played, but no, that was always. I mean, I might just be mixing games that were on each demo disc, but I remember Pizza Hut having a demo disc that was like pretty amazing. I think it had Metal Gear Tony Hawk Crash.
Yes, I remember that one. Yeah,
Like,
I remember not
it was like
being old enough to understand what Metal Gear was, like how to play that game, and I got frustrated with it.
It was like,
So I never played Metal Gear growing up.
yeah, there's types of games that, especially at a younger age, like, and that's, and what sucks is, and that's, as me, maybe I was just a dumb kid, but, like RPGs and shit, like when I grew up, I had a Genesis, which wasn't really known for its RPGs, whereas Super Nintendo had fucking every top 5 RPG ever made, blah, blah, blah. There's like some Super Nintendo games on there. Most of the time, you don't see a Genesis game in like top 10 RPGs ever made. You don't see a Genesis game on that list. But that was the one thing, like RPGs for me, I just remember playing one and I was just like, I can't get into this. This is just too much for my young, dumb brain. Like, it's just, I can't do this. But yeah, Metal Gear, I can imagine that'd be frustrating.
Yeah, I didn't understand the concept of a stealth action game in that. I didn't understand the concept of not being seen in a video game. Like that's just something that didn't click for me as a kid.
Yeah, exactly. Because real quick, it's not the norm. You know, video games are meant to shoot, bang, bang, run, explosions, have fun, and this one's straight telling you, knock that shit off and don't do any of that, and it's just different. But that was when, like, that was a type of game that I think matured me in a way, because like I played it and I was like, whoa, this is different. I mean, obviously I'm older than you, but like at that age I was like, holy shit, man, this is actually like a different type of game. You're not supposed to do that shit. So it was kind of like throwing me off as far as like I've been used to playing all these games where you're supposed to do this, now you're not. And sometimes it's a nice change of pace, but also too it can be infuriating if you're just not to that point maturity wise where you're just like, I don't give a shit about stealth. I want to go fucking shoot everybody. I don't want to stop. I don't want to like choke people out and hide them from other people to be seen. Like nobody wants to do that shit. So, but yeah, that Pizza Hut demo disc, man, that opened up lives. That opened up like gaming for some people. So
yeah. I looked it up. Yeah, I was like I was a kindergartner when I was throwing myself at Metal Gear, and you can imagine a kindergartner trying to understand Metal Gear. I was a kindergartner when
dude. When I was like, I obviously like when I was in kindergarten, I was playing Mario, and I was like, this shit's fun, dude. Trying to fucking decipher Metal Gear at age 6 or 7. Yeah, that probably's not happening that easily.
But I was doing just fine playing Age of Empires.
Metal Gear at
there
you go.
Yeah, I don't understand. Like there were certain connections that just hit with me like a lot, and I think it's transferred a lot like modern day, like with what I play now. I have a tendency to like these kind of strategy games and kind of that kind of civilization building, just like the 4X genre in general. I've enjoyed a lot.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the cool thing is like, you know, when you're younger, those types of games will shape who you end up being, but also too, through your journey, you may end up not liking certain things because you play too much of it. So, I mean, everybody's got their own difference. I remember on the PC, because obviously I didn't play much, I remember somehow, I really don't know how, I acquired Warcraft. On the PC, because obviously very first Warcraft. And again, the front cover, I thought it was a running around and beating up and doing all this shit. I didn't realize it was an RTS at all. And like when I first started playing, I was like, what the fuck is this? And then once I started learning it, I was like, oh, and then you could do this, then you could build to this, then you can do that. And like, and then once I started, my head just started blowing up. And again, I was like, then you could do a good age to where I was like catching all of it. And I was like, man, these are just new types of genres I didn't play. But also too, most RTSs weren't near consoles ever.
Right.
So like that was the one thing for me is playing on PC. I was able to experience completely different genres that they didn't even touch on console yet because of probably a million reasons. Like controls, graphics,
genres that
computing. I don't know what it was, but I'm sure there's a million reasons why they never did RTSs until recently, which still they don't have
there aren't
too many on modern consoles.
There's a million reasons why they never did RTSs.
I mean, because most of the time the controllers sucked. Like just trying to do it didn't really work well. I will say, as a novice RTS player, I'm not as big into them, but like Halo Wars 2 on Xbox, on the controller, didn't suck, which is about the nicest thing you can say. It didn't suck. It wasn't the best. Obviously, a mouse and keyboard would have been considerably faster, but it didn't suck. Which, again, I think that's the best compliment you can give an RTS on console. It didn't suck.
I mean, the whole it's just flawed. It's the flawed concept of putting it on console. You're just the whole idea, like you're going to put an RTS on console. You're dropping about like you're dropping so many APMs there. Like you're going to put an RTS on console. You're just
exactly.
It kind of defeats the purpose of being a real time game. APMs there.
Yeah, exactly. Like, well, again, I think the pace of that game isn't as intense as other games, maybe. So like, it might have worked out okay, but there were still plenty of moments where I was throwing myself through the map, like, what the fuck do I need to do? Like, just freaking out because there was a lot of shit I needed to do that I just couldn't. So yeah, that was one thing that with that game in particular, it was cool. Like again, I wasn't the greatest fan of it, but also too, I never got super big into them. So for me, that might be baby's first RTS. But whatever, I had fun with it. So, and then yeah, Warcraft on PC. But yeah, like those types of genres, man, they opened up. But also too, like you said, you kind of have to be at a certain age, or just have a certain brain type to be able to like click with certain games. Like before, I used to play a lot of like Mortal Kombat and NBA Jam, and now I don't like fighting games because I suck at them, and I barely play sports games. Whereas now I'm just completely into different shit. So everybody kind of grows up and evolves from that. But also too, I was definitely a kid where I just played what was popular. Like everybody kind of whatever was popular, I was just like, oh, everybody likes Mortal Kombat 3. Let's play that. Let's play NBA Jam because everybody in the fucking world's playing this. So that's kind of how I grew up. But yeah, once honestly, it's funny as I think it's PS1 is when shit just started getting different. Like I didn't care what was popular. I was just like, especially with the demo disc, that was the absolute greatest thing in the world because you got to try all these types of genres, except for the hardest one in the world to try is an RPG because it's like
you can't really do that. But
you get like an hour, or like depending on what they showed you, and you can't really get into it that deep. So. You get like an hour, or like the only downside what they showed you.
Despite that, though, I think
really get into it.
I got into RPGs. So. Like my history of RPGs is its own whole thing. Despite that, though, I started off on PS1 playing, of course, Final Fantasy, and then The Legend of Dragoon is another one that I go back to. That not enough people understand or appreciate that game and what it did. The Legend of Dragoon is another one that I go back to.
I know a lot of people understand or appreciate. I know of it. I've never played it. Not because I heard it was trash or whatever. There's just too much shit to play. But I remember people losing their shit like when I worked at the game store looking for that particular.
Yeah, it is a fantastic game, and luckily I managed to snag another copy of it. So I have the whole 4-disc set. It is a fantastic game, and luckily I managed to snag another copy.
And it's funny too when we were, especially on PS1, when it was like. How it sounds dumb, but especially when it comes to RPGs, like how many discs is on PS1? Like that was a thing. That was like it's 3 discs. Oh wait, but that one's 4 discs. Holy shit! Like that was a it wasn't necessarily a marker that it was a good game, but that it was just really long. Like it was just really long. And if you got one scratch on disc 2, you wanted to fucking cry. Like it was just you were just like, I can't deal this. I can't do this. You got one scratch on disc 2, you
with
wanted to
RPGs,
fucking cry.
it's really strange. Like I can't up deal until this. Like
I can't do this.
Yeah, like more recent consoles, RPGs, I almost exclusively played up until JRPGs, and I hadn't really opened up to Western RPGs until maybe the Xbox 360 PS3 era. Like that's the first time I started playing like Mass Effect RPGs until maybe the Elder Scrolls games and stuff like that. Like that's the first time I started playing. And like even now, like and that's developed even further. Like now I play more Western RPGs than I do JRPGs. But it's like even now, like it's just it's fun to see, like just look back at your past and see like oh wow, I discovered this there, and that totally put me on this path of playing these types of games. Oh, wow.
Absolutely.
I discovered
yeah,
this
I mean,
there,
like everybody
and
has
that
that
totally
one.
Put me on this path.
Like I would say, people, most of them
games.
have like that couple moments where they're just like,
Yeah, I mean,
this
like,
one
everybody has
game
that one-
set me down this
like,
path
I would say
forever.
people, most of them have like that.
I mean, I
couple
could say
moments where they're
Halo
just like,
led me
this
down an
one
Xbox
game
path forever,
set me down
and
this path
I
forever.
mean, you know, would I love
could
like
say
enjoy
Halo
my
led
Xbox
me
as much as
down
I
an
do if it
Xbox
was
path
because of Halo?
forever.
Who the hell
And,
knows?
I mean,
but yeah, I mean, like there's always those things that happen.
enjoy my
And I mean,
Xbox
the
as much as I
internet
do
and
if it
Xbox
was
Live
because of Halo?
happening.
Who
Like
the hell knows?
Jesus, that
yeah, I mean, like,
triggers
there's always those
a
things that
lot of
happen.
stuff.
And
Like
the internet and
that
Xbox
will
Live happening.
lead you
Like,
down a road that'll
Jesus,
change your mind
that
too. And yeah,
triggers
you're right with
a
the
lot of
JRPGs.
stuff. Like,
PS1
that
era,
will
I think
lead you down a road that'll
I'm trying to think
change
of
your mind
what
too.
it was because I mean,
And yeah,
in
you're right
PS1
with
era,
the
it was
JRPGs,
all JRPGs.
PS1
Like,
era, I think
everything
I'm trying
was a
to think of
JRPG.
what
There
it
was
was, 'cause
very,
I mean,
very
in PS1
rare
era, it was
occasions
all
of
JRPGs.
like there was just so many coming out of
Everything
Japan,
was a
and of course it
JRPG.
was a
There was
PlayStation,
very, very
and all these
rare
people, you know, it's a Sony
occasions
console.
of,
What do you
like,
expect? Like
there was just
all
so
these
many
all
coming
these
out of Japan, and
JRPGs
of
are going
course
to
it
go
was
there
a
and everything,
PlayStation
as long as they
and
get
all these
translated.
people, you know, it's a Sony console. What do you
But
expect? Like,
then yeah,
all these
like
all
you're
these
right though. Around
JRPGs
360
are
is
gonna go there and
when
everything, as long as they get
all
translated.
these, you know, Bethesda
but
started cranking out
then,
shit.
yeah,
EA
like,
started
you're right,
cranking
though,
out with
around
BioWare.
360 is when
I think
all
a little
these,
bit early too, because
you know,
like I was thinking
Bethesda
Xbox, because like
started cranking
Knights
out
Republic,
shit. EA
Jade
started cranking
Empire,
out with BioWare.
See, I mean,
those were all BioWare
I
games
think,
before.
yeah, a little bit
Mass
early
Effect.
too, because like I was
See,
thinking
that's-
Xbox,
that's-
because like Knights of the Republic,
That's indicative of
Jade
me, like,
Empire,
I kind
those
of
were all
like
BioWare games before,
I grew up. I
Mass
played
Effect.
PC games, but I was primarily a console
that's
player.
indicative
If
of
I
me,
was
like,
paying more
I
attention
kind of,
on
like,
PC, there was.
I grew up.
It's
I
not like
played
Western
PC
RPGs
games, but I was
just sprung
primarily
out
a
of nowhere.
console
They
player.
were.
If I
Right.
was
Like there were a
paying
lot
more
of good
attention on PC,
Western
there was-
RPGs like
it's
Baldur's
not like
Gate and
Western RPGs
Icewind
just
Dale
sprung
and
out of
all that
nowhere.
kind
They
of stuff.
were-
But
Right,
I just
like,
didn't
there were a lot
discover
of
that
good,
style of
Western
RPG until
like
way
Baldur's
later.
Gate and Icewind Dale.
Right,
all
and I mean
that
that's
kind of
like
stuff.
my thing that
But I
I'm
just
a
didn't
bit sad
discover
about as
that
well, because
style
there's
of
a
RPG
whole
until way
slew
later.
of PC games that I
Right,
never
and I
touched.
mean, that's like my
you know what I
thing
mean?
that
And of
I'm
course, like
a bit sad about
Diablo,
as well, because there's
like,
a whole
Diablo's
slew of PC
an awesome
games
game,
that I
and
never
I
touched.
didn't play
You know what I
Diablo
mean?
2
And of
until
course,
like way later in
Diablo,
life,
like,
and I was like, holy shit, this game was
Diablo's
around
an awesome game
so much
and
earlier when
I
I was
didn't
playing
play
other
Diablo
shit,
2
and again, I
until,
just
like,
didn't have a
way
PC
later
powerful
in
enough to
life,
play it.
and I was
So
like, holy shit, this game
I
is
think it's
around
when I don't know what
so much
what
earlier when I was playing other
changed
shit,
though,
and
because
again,
like
I
it
just
seems
didn't
now
have a
that
PC powerful enough
JRPGs,
to
I'm
play
not saying
it,
they
so,
don't exist, because obviously
I
they
think
do.
it's when,
but they're
I
just
don't know
not
what
as
changed
pop.
though, 'cause,
I wouldn't
like,
say
it seems
popular.
now that
Like, I'm trying to think of the
I'm not
best.
saying they don't exist, because
They're just not as.
but they're just
they were
not
cranking
as
out JRPGs on
pop-
PlayStation
I wouldn't
1,
say
like
popular.
so
Like, I'm
many,
trying to
and then
think of the best-
PS2 they were still cranking them out, and then it seems like
they were
PS3
cranking
happened
out
and they
JRPGs
slowed
on
down, and
PlayStation
now it's
1.
like they don't come
so
out with
many.
them
And then
as
PS2 they were
often.
still
Or I
cranking
would
them
say
out. And then it
there's
seems
not
like
as many like
PS3 happened
quote
and
unquote
they
triple
slowed down,
A
and now it's like they don't
JRPGs,
come
I
out
guess,
with
because
them
I'm sure there's
as
still a
often.
ton that
Or I
come
would
out.
say there's not as many
but
like
also, I'm not
triple
as
A
into JRPGs as I was,
I guess,
because
I'm
I'm
sure
back
there's still
then.
a
So
ton that come out.
I don't know what it. If I'm
but
just.
Also,
I'm sure there's
not
people
as
screaming at
into
their
JRPGs as I was
device
when I
right
was
now,
playing
like, "What the
them
fuck?
back then,
These
so
games came out this year. What are you
I don't
talking
know
about?"
what it-
Yeah,
if
like,
I'm just
there's always
I'm sure there's people
stuff
screaming
out
at
there. It's
their
just like
device right
it
now.
doesn't.
Like, what the fuck?
It
These
doesn't
games
rise
came
to
out
the
this year. What
top
are
in
you
a way
talking
that
about?
gets
Yeah, there's,
mainstream
like,
attention.
there's always
Like there's
stuff
oh,
out
like
there.
I
It's
think
just
just
like,
this week I
it
think
doesn't- it doesn't rise to the
Hyperdimension
top in a way
Neptunia
that
came
gets
out with like a
mainstream
VR
attention.
game,
Like
and
there's-
that's
like
I have a
think just this
PlayStation
week,
VR.
I think,
Maybe I checked that out, but it's
Hyperdimension
kind of
Neptunia
kind of
came out
hard
with, like,
to
a
manage
VR
my
game.
time with all
And
these
that's-
different
I have a
games coming
PlayStation
out.
VR, and maybe I
Yeah,
checked that
I mean,
out, but
well,
it's kind
that's the other thing too. Is like gaming back then, you had to pick and choose because you didn't have the luxury of getting,
I mean, well,
or having the
that's
option
other
to
thing,
get
too,
whatever
like
it is you
gaming
wanted. You
back
know what I mean?
then,
You had to be very
had to pick
selective.
and
Were
choose 'cause
you
didn't have the luxury of
when you were
getting-
growing up? Did you have that
or having the
Christmas
option to
birthday
get whatever
rotation
it is you wanted.
where it
You
was
know,
like
so you had to be very
every Christmas, every
selective.
birthday?
It sucked for
when you
me
were
a little
growing up,
bit
did you have that
because
Christmas birthday
Christmas,
rotation,
of course,
where it was like,
December, but my birthday was in
Christmas, every birthday?
January.
It sucked
God
for me.
damn,
So
that's
that
the worst.
it was bad bad. Like it was beginning of January to December, but my birthday was in January.
Oh my God!
It kind of sucked, but it was bad. Like it was beginning. I made a deal with a few of my family members, and they agreed to not give me my gift, my birthday gift, until like June. With a few of my family members, like right when school came out, went out. So I usually got a game right as school.
Good.
Closed for summer.
Right when school came out. There you go. I was going to say, like, I owe you a birthday gift.
Usually got a game right as
just put in a card, I owe you something and whatever, and you could just pull it out. I was going to say, like, I owe you a birthday gift. Yeah, like, I was going to say, that's just put in a card, I owe you something and fortunately, you could just pull it out. My birthday's in June. So it was like, every 6 months, whatever was popular, I was getting, like, a game Christmas was like 2 games, you know. So occasionally I tried to pull the trick where I'm like, hey, can you use my birthday and Christmas to get me a console? That shit never worked. You know, see, for you, occasionally I tried to pull the trick where I'm like, hey, you could have been like, yo, and Christmas to get me a console.
It's like 2 or 3 weeks apart.
See, I'm just saying, you could combo this up and make a real big gift.
I mean, that's the only thing that was easier for me with a sibling. I could be like,
I'm just saying,
yo, you get this gift. It's for both of us, right? I mean,
that's the only
thing
that worked.
There you go. That's how you spend it.
So you said you have a younger brother. Is that your only sibling?
Both of us, right?
Okay. So, there you go. I'm assuming you guys played games together. You said you have a younger brother. Is that your only sibling?
Yes.
What were you guys playing back then as far as...
I'm assuming you
because, I mean, like you mentioned Crash and Spyro and like JRPGs.
Pretty constant.
Like, those are mostly single player games.
Playing back then
so what were you guys playing together?
I
mean, like you mentioned Crash and Spyro.
We used to play Gran Turismo together.
Like, those are mostly single player games.
What else did we do?
So what were you guys playing together?
I think Crash Bash, maybe. We used to play Gran Turismo together. I think it had multiplayer. What else did we do?
I'm pretty sure. Was that
Crash
like
Bash,
their
maybe?
Equivalent of like a Mario Party?
Yeah, and I thought it was pretty good, but maybe it's because
I'm pretty sure. Was that
I don't know, maybe
like
Bros
their
Tinted Goggles
equivalent of like a Mario Party?
I thought it was. I don't know what it would be like to go back and play it now. I don't know.
Again, sometimes it's great, and sometimes you're like, whoa,
what was I doing? I don't know what it would be like to go back. Yeah, we do a lot of things where we just take turns.
Sometimes it's great, and sometimes
when you die or stuff like that. We do like silly challenges and stuff like that. Yeah, we do a lot of things where we just take turns, like when you die or stuff like that.
You know, some games
like silly challenges.
And the other thing too is, I think, especially depending on the console you had, like PlayStation wasn't as formidable with like the multiplayer stuff. Like, not saying they didn't have multiplayer, but like 64 had 4 controller ports. There were a ton of 4-player games. Like that was like the jam on that system.
Like, not saying they didn't have.
Yes, I know Sony had a multi-tap, but nobody fucking owned it.
There were a ton of 4-player games. Like that was like the jam.
Sony didn't really have too many 4-player games that made you lose your shit to go buy one.
Like they just.
But yeah, that was the thing. Like, I remember
didn't really have too many.
The only thing I remember playing
games that
together with my buddies on PlayStation really was like the wrestling games.
Like I remember
like the WWE style games together with my buddies on PlayStation. Those are the games like SmackDown, the wrestling games. Like those are the games I played with my buddies. But other than that, it was so many.
Yep, those are the games
times where we would have Resident Evil 2,
and those are the games I played with my buddies. But
or
Metal
Gear.
It was so many.
Just doing that. It was more the single player shit,
just
taking turns going back and forth between it because
or Metal Gear.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't remember doing that with like any of the JRPGs. Tony Hawk
taking turns going back and
pass the controller around every time you do a run. All right, here you go.
Then
somebody else do it.
It's like any of the JRPGs.
Yeah, I'm kind of right there with you. Like it was more passing it around, but
every time you do a run,
you know, that was
then somebody else do it.
Some games that were
right there with
you.
Like
it was more creepy ass games that you were playing. Like you mentioned Silent Hill. I remember the first Silent Hill.
Also, some games that were
scaring the fuck out of me and my friends.
Creepy ass games that you were playing. Like you mentioned Silent Hill.
It's just creepy. It's not like Resident Evil where there's zombies and big monsters. It's just eerie as shit, and that's way creepier. I also, for whatever reason, where there's zombies, and sure people can go back and look at now. And there was a puzzle in Silent Hill. It was one of the final puzzles.
For whatever reason,
I don't care what you say. There was no fucking thing in the game that told you how to do it.
There was a puzzle in Silent Hill. It was one
and
of
we
the final
looked
puzzles.
all over the place. This is pre-internet.
I don't care what you say. There
for
was
all
no
of us, like we didn't have the internet readily available.
How to do it.
But like we could not figure out this fucking puzzle. This is pre-internet. So then we had to go buy the strategy guide.
Like we didn't have the internet readily available.
There was no option. I was like,
we could not figure out this fucking
puzzle. We've fucking gone and done everything. We've gone to everywhere. We've looked at every note. None of this makes sense. And then we just opened the strategy guide, had to figure out how to do that one puzzle.
We've gone to everywhere. We've looked at every note.
None of this makes sense. And then we just opened the strategy guide.
At least now, like
how to do that.
It's sad because I used to buy strategy guides,
and then we were like,
and now
you don't need them.
You don't fucking need to. You sure don't.
Yeah,
it's sad because I used to buy strategy guides.
For sometimes I get on mailing lists for like Prima guides, and I'm like, yo, y'all know that your business. I always like for sometimes I get on mailing lists for
pretty
like
much
Prima guides.
Like
y'all know that
I worked at a video game store around the PS2, GameCube, Xbox era.
Yeah, it's pretty much.
My brother-in-law, for whatever reason, was very much into like
video
game store around the PS2,
GameCube,
a lot of games
Xbox
stuff.
era.
So he would buy the game, and he would buy the strategy for whatever reason. Was very much into eventually, if he ever sold it, he'd sell it as like a combo.
So he would buy.
I don't know how I got on the same train, but I started doing it as well. And like evenally, if he ever sold it, he'd sell it as like a combo. Like I love how I got on the same train, but I started doing it as well. The last strategy guide I bought was Titanfall, only because it was clearance at Walmart and it had an art book in it, and it was like $6. I was like, was Titanfall. All right, that's kind of cool. Titanfall art book at Walmart. It was more or less for the art book. It was like not the strategy guide part, because also Titanfall was a multiplayer only game. Like
Titanfall art book.
I know these maps. More or less for the art book, not the strategy guide part. Because also Titanfall was a multiplayer only game.
Guild Wars. strategy guide just basically because of all the art in it. I didn't need that shit. You don't need a freaking strategy guide for a Guild for an MMO. Strategy guide just basically because of all the art in it. I didn't. But I don't need this thing laying around as an art book in it for an MMO just to look at. Like that's
the last strategy guide I freaked out about was because I'm a big Kingdom Hearts fan. If you haven't told,
just to look at
fucking dumb scroll thing. The last strategy guide I freaked out about was Kingdom Hearts 2 when they came out, because I'm really big into it. They had a limited edition strategy guide that had 4 different covers. I had recently, when they came out, because as I was going through, I found a way to tell which cover was which, even when the thing was still sealed. I had recently, so of course I opened up as I was going through. I found a way to tell which cover was which, edition guide, art book, all the shit. And then I found all 4 of the other covers sealed. Check it out. So I literally have 5 limited edition Kingdom Hearts 2 strategy guides all the shit. They said collect us and don't do shit. And then I found all 4 of the other covers sealed. So I literally one day they'll be worth something. I don't Hearts 2 plan to sell them, but they say one day some shit will happen, and I need to sell them. Maybe one day they'll be worth something. But no, that's like the last one I freaked out about. Otherwise, there's just shit will happen. There's, like you said, they are non-existent. You can literally Google search the game and an IGN wiki will show up with everything. Like you said, they are non-existent. You can literally Google search the game.
I guess so, but it's also like super convenient to be able to be like, oh, I need to know how to beat this super specific thing. I guess so, but it's also like super convenient to be able to be like, oh, I need to know how to beat this super specific thing.
Yeah, the most ridiculous one I think I remember seeing was the Skyrim Game of the Year edition.
Oh yeah, I have that.
It's a fucking phone book, dude. It's the most ridiculous one I think I remember seeing was the Skyrim Game of the Year edition. Holy shit, man! I remember getting them, and phone book, dude. They were really big, and I was just concerned at first. I was like, man. I remember getting them. Is this game really that big? And everybody told me that they were really big. Yeah, it is. But again, like, think about this. I was like, if you had to find a particular mission really that big, and you had to fucking go through like this and then scroll to this. But again, like, think about this. If you had to find a particular mission, it finds it for you. You had to fucking go through like it's just way easier now. So I love how now Prima is like, we have digital versions of these that we can sell you. I'm like it's just way easier now. So I love how now Prima is like, we have digital versions of these that we can sell you. IGN gets an ad revenue every time I click on this.
Sell me.
What's funny is I haven't used a strategy guide. Sell me. IGN really gets an ad revenue anything in a long time. Except what's funny is I haven't used a strategy guide. I like a strategy guide just to tell me what mission I am in the game and where it ends. Except what I do prefer, I'm playing God of War, is I like a strategy guide just to tell me what mission I am in the game and where it ends. Because I have kids and a full-time job and a wife and a family and all this shit. I'm enjoying it in like hour and a half chunks maybe because I have kids and a full-time job. All right, cool. I just finished this mission and all this shit. I wonder how far I am in the game. And then I go to IGN, look at the wiki, and I'm like, so then I'll be like, fuck, I still have a lot. Cool. I just finished this mission. Just go back to it. I wonder how far I am. So that's the only thing that I found useful for him is that, hey, at least I can just tell where I am in the game. Just go back to it. So that's the only thing that I found useful for him is that, but hey, at least I can just tell where I am in the game, and then so get discouraged when I realize I still have a lot of shit to do. Pokemon strategy guides, though, that's okay. Those were helpful. I'm just saying, showing you where all the people were, showing you where everybody was. Pokemon not necessarily strategies to beat the game. Those were helpful. But just like, hey, here's map. That was the one thing where all the people were showing you where everybody wasn't as helpful. Not necessarily strategies to beat the game, but just like, hey, here's map. That was where these back in the day the internet wasn't as helpful with like that was where the guides were a little bit better when they had pictures of maps. Because back then most of the internet strategy guides were like that was some where the guides were a little better when they had pictures smashed it into his keyboard. Just like here's how you do it. The internet strategy guides were like, pictures are kind of helpful at times, and then the internet got good. Smash it into his keyboard. Pictures like, here's how you do it. So you don't need them. Right. Pictures are kind of helpful at times, and then the internet got good. So then finally we have pictures. Did you just kind of go down the PlayStation route then? Did you just continue? Well, obviously you said you had a 360, but did you go PS2 and everything?
Yeah,
did you just kind of go down the PlayStation route then? Did you just continue? Well, obviously you said you had a 360, but did you go PS2 and everything?
Yeah, I had a PlayStation 2. I also had Animal Crossing. That was a lot of people did, and I had a fondness. That's a game I still boot up my GameCube for, as a lot of people did, and do you still have your old memory card and all that from back then? Still boot up my GameCube. I'd have to check. If I had I'm not sure what happened.
If you boot that up, do you still have your old memory card and all that from back then?
I think I do.
If you boot that up, there's gonna be weeds everywhere. If you boot that up, what the fuck, man? Where have you been? It's been 8 years. Where have you been? If you boot that up, there's gonna be weeds everywhere, and that dude's gonna be pissed. It'll be a while, right? What the fuck? But yeah, I mean that was the. I think that's also around the time when everybody either got a PlayStation or Xbox. But yeah, I mean, that was I think that's also around the time when
Nintendo. It's sad.
Everybody
either
Nintendo started
becoming
that
PlayStation or
secondary
Xbox
console,
and a GameCube.
You have your main console,
the Nintendo. It's
sad,
you have to have
but Nintendo started becoming that
secondary
console.
Smash,
You
Mario
have
Kart,
your main console,
Mario Party,
and then you have to have
every
Nintendo
game.
But that was also when Nintendo was getting some good
Mario
exclusives.
Kart,
Fucking
Mario
ridiculous
Party,
good exclusives.
fucking every Nintendo
Resident
game.
4 was, but that was also when
Resident
Nintendo was
4
getting
came
some
out
good
GameCube
exclusives.
first.
Right.
Fucking ridiculous good exclusives.
Yeah.
Like Resident 4.
I remember my brother-in-law
first.
when he worked at the game store.
He went to their game conference,
which
was their
version of
E3.
E3.
The company would send all the managers to Vegas
when he
They
worked
play
at
all
the
the
game
games
store.
early. He went to
And
their
that was the year that
conference,
Halo 2
which
was
is their
happening.
version of E3.
And
That
of
the
course,
company
I was
would
just
send all the
balls deep in
managers
Halo.
to Vegas.
I was like,
They
dude,
play all the
how
games
was Halo
early.
2? And he's like,
And
that
it's
was
cool.
the year that like Halo
And I
2 was
like,
happening.
pissed off. I was like, the
and of
fuck
course,
you
I
mean
was
it's
just
cool.
balls
Like,
deep
I
in
wanted to
Halo.
hear
I was
more
like,
from
dude,
that.
how was
He's
Halo
like,
2?
what was the
And
best
he's
thing
like,
you saw at the show?
it's
And he's
cool.
like, Resident
I
Evil
was
4,
like, kinda
hands
pissed off.
fucking
I was like,
down.
the
I'm
fuck
like,
you mean it's cool?
Like, I wanted to
Really?
hear more from that.
4? Like,
because
what
I
was
didn't
the best
play
thing you
Code
saw at the show?
Veronica.
And he's like,
I didn't
Resident
play any.
Evil 4,
Like,
hands
Outbreak
fucking
was on
down. I'm like,
PS2, and that shit sucked.
Really?
I was like,
Really?
Like,
because I didn't play Code
you have no
Veronica.
idea. He's like,
I
wait
didn't
till you
play
play
any,
it. And then one day a
Outbreak was
demo
on
disc came
PS2,
in,
and that shit sucked.
and
I was like,
thankfully
really?
nobody
Resident
shot
Evil 4? He's
that
like,
day because
you
I
have no
fucking played
idea.
that demo.
He's like, wait till you play it.
And then one day a demo disc came in. It was so good. And now, thankfully nobody shot that day because I fucking played that demo like 6 times.
Yeah, we're putting this on
GameCube. It was so good. And now
people were coming in left and right buying
that
GameCube.
Nintendo had
for
that kind of pull with Capcom. They were like,
I
yeah,
love
we're
the
putting this on
GameCube. It
GameCube
was a good console.
People were coming in left and right buying GameCube.
It was. I always laughed at the small little discs.
I love the GameCube.
It was.
Yeah.
It was a
I
good
don't understand
console.
why they decided to do
It
that.
was, I always laughed at the small little discs.
It's funny.
I
I don't know either.
I don't
mean,
understand why they
you could say
decided to do
copyright
that,
protection,
but
which
it's
it's
good
funny
point because you can't
Yeah,
really
I
go
don't know
buy
either. I
too
mean,
many mini.
you
They
know,
used to
you could
sell
say
mini
copyright
discs that
protection,
were burnable,
which held fucking nothing.
Good valid
So I don't know
point,
why
'cause
you
can't
do
really
that.
go buy.
But yeah,
too
then
many
it ended
mini-
up biting
They used
them
to
in the
sell
ass
mini
when
discs that you were burnable.
games didn't come
which
to
held
it because
fucking
of
nothing.
X, Y, or
So I
Z
don't know why
reason,
you do
but,
that.
you know,
But yeah, then it
GameCube
ended up
games
biting
had
them in the
two
ass,
discs,
and you're
when,
like, huh.
That's
Games
funny.
didn't come to it because of
two little baby
X, Y, or
discs.
Z reason. But
So
did you mostly
GameCube games had
for the
two discs,
GameCube
and
then
you're
like
huh,
was it mostly
that's
your
funny.
Nintendo machine then, and then your
Two little
PS2
baby
was for
discs,
everything
yeah.
else basically?
Yeah,
So, did you
I
mostly
trying to
for the
think of
GameCube
anything
then
that
like
was a
was it mostly your
multi-platform that
Nintendo
I played
machine
on,
then, and then your PS2 was for
Nintendo, but
everything else
not
basically?
really. It was mostly on Nintendo. It
trying
was
to think of
for me. It
anything
was
that
Animal
was a
Crossing and
multi-platform
Pikmin that I played on Nintendo, but not
Yeah,
really. It was
Animal
mostly
Crossing-
on
dude, Pikmin
Nintendo.
was
It
fun
was
as shit,
for me. It
too.
was Animal
Like, Pikmin
Crossing
was
and
so
Pikmin.
fun. Like, and I was. Yeah, I can't remember.
Animal
off the top of my
Crossing.
head. I don't know if that was that near a launch game or was that like
Pikmin was so fun.
I
I
can't
can't
remember.
was.
I'm
But
trying.
also,
I can't remember off the top
for
of
my
my head.
I don't know if that
GameCube,
was that
I
near
got
a
the
launch game,
attachment that
or
let
was
me
that
play
like
Game Boy
I
Advance
don't
games on
remember.
it.
remember.
So that was
You're damn right.
But also
dope
for my
putting,
GameCube, I got
Pokemon
the
on
attachment
big
that let me
screen.
play Game Boy Advance games
Yep.
on it.
Dude,
So that was
you're damn right.
that
That
was
Nintendo,
pretty dope.
man. Super Game Boy,
putting
Game Boy
Pokemon
Player,
on big screen.
fucking boom,
Yep.
double your library
Dude,
of games just by
good on
getting this one
Nintendo,
little
man.
thing. Super Game Boy,
Game Boy
smart
Player,
as shit
fucking
that they've done.
the
Boom,
funny thing is
double
there's
your
still
library of
ports
games
on the
just
bottom
by
of the
getting this
GameCube
one little
that I'm
thing.
like, what the fuck was this thing supposed to do?
Smart as
'Cause
shit.
if you look, there's
that
like
they've
three
done.
little.
The funny thing
pieces
is
of
there's
plastic
still
you can
ports on the bottom of the
see what it-
GameCube
yeah,
that I'm
there's
like,
like
what the fuck
ports,
was this
just
thing supposed
random
to do?
proprietary
Because if you
ports.
look, there's like
I
three little
remember
pieces
we
of
used to
plastic
sell a
you can
broadband
undo and
adapter
see
for
what
the
it.
GameCube.
Yeah, there's like ports
Because
just
the GameCube
random
had
proprietary ports, like
I
six
remember
maybe online.
we used to
games.
sell a broadband
one of them was
adapter for
Phantasy
the
Star
GameCube.
Online.
Because
Which
the GameCube had
that was pretty much
like
the game that
6
people
maybe
bought
online
that
games.
adapter for. And there wasn't any
one of
other
them was
games that people
Phantasy
gave a
Star
shit about.
Online, which
That was
but then there was
pretty
that,
much the game
which
that
had its
people
own little
bought
plastic
that
thing
adapter
that popped
for.
off.
And there wasn't
There
any
was
other
a Game Boy
games that
player.
people gave a shit about.
I think there was a third one.
That. But then there was that.
Nintendo probably had
which
some
that had
ridiculous
its own
ass
little
idea for that
plastic
just
thing that
never
popped
happened.
off. There was the Game Boy player. So
I think there was a
Game
third
Boy
one
player though was
that
Nintendo
was
probably
good.
had some ridiculous
Nothing wrong
ass
with that.
idea for it
Did
that just
you
never happened. Play much on Game Boy besides Pokemon?
Game Boy player
did you ever
though
get
was
into any of the other
that
games
was
like
good.
Advance Wars,
Nothing
Fire
wrong with that.
Emblem?
Did you
any of the Castlevania
play
games?
much
Nothing
on Game Boy
popular. I always
besides
played
Pokemon?
weird
Like, did you ever get into any of the other games
I
like
played played
Advance Wars,
Digimon
Fire Emblem,
fighting games.
any of the Castlevania games.
Nothing popped. Like I always played Fighting Spirit games. I think on there. Games. I played Digimon Fighting. I think there was a Yu-Gi-Oh game I played. Like there was the Fighting Spirit games. I think on there.
Dude, those were so popular.
I think there was a Yu-Gi-Oh game I played.
People came in and bought Game Boy shit. It was like Pokemon, Digimon. Dude, those were so popular. Like I remember that when people came in and bought Game Boy shit, popular. It was like Pokemon, Digimon, but yeah, man, Yu-Gi-Oh. I completely get what you're coming from. There was a lot of people like Castlevania games were super popular.
Yeah, I
man,
I even played like
get what you're coming from. There was a lot of
games
people
like
those games.
Yeah, it was Pokemon Pinball. Yeah, I played a lot. That was like I even played like other Pokemon games like the Pokemon when Pinball. I saw Pokemon Pinball, I had memories of like the old Windows pinball game. I forget what it was called, but it was like the space-themed pinball game on the Windows. I had memories of like the old Windows pinball game. I forget what it was called, but it was like the space-themed pinball game on the Windows. Pinball game. It's been a while.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I can't remember the game either, but I know what you're saying.
But I played that a lot.
When you got it, was it like
another pinball game? It's
because
been a
it wasn't
while,
as good as like
played the heck out of that.
It didn't bring back those memories that the Windows game did. When you got it, was it like sadness because it wasn't as good as like?
I really enjoyed
it didn't bring
that
back
game
those memories
because
that
like
the Windows
I
game
was
did.
deep into Pokemon at that point. Like it was I really enjoyed that game because like who people would go to ask about at that point. Like it was.
Right.
And, I was one of the kids at school who people would go to ask about. It was a good Pokemon themed pinball game.
Right.
And
were you at that time?
I just enjoyed that. It was
Pokemon
a nice,
came out.
It was a good Pokemon
pretty
themed pinball game. I even played the Pokemon Coliseum.
Were you
games.
at that time like? If Pokemon
so I never
came
played
out
the Coliseum games. I remember
Stadium.
Much, yeah.
I
even played the Pokemon
so Stadium
Coliseum
was
games.
only fun if you had a transfer
I never
pack
played the
and
Coliseum
could bring
games.
your
I
own
remember
shit in, 'cause if
Stadium
you didn't, obviously for 64. So
What
Stadium was only
like, it was
fun if you had a transfer pack and could bring your own
shit
shit
in.
Because if you didn't,
shit. They want to. You want to
what
play with your
are
own.
you doing?
Did Coliseum have anything like that?
You fought with
I honestly didn't even play
Pokemon
Coliseum.
So yeah, you
Nobody
could
wants to do that
trade
shit. They
in.
You want to play with your own.
Like you could use the
Did Coliseum have anything like that? Because I honestly didn't even play Coliseum.
So yeah, you could trade in from your Game Boy Advance like you could use the I didn't really transfer thing there, and you could trade in your Pokemon from your Game Boy Advance. It was a narrative, but I didn't really mess with that kind of narrative thing where like I think
it wasn't just
a
like
different thing.
It was just fighting. There was like an actual.
It was a narrative. There was a whole story. It was a different kind of narrative thing where like
it wasn't just like Stadium where it's just fighting. There was like an actual story.
There was a whole story progression to go with that. I enjoyed that part of the game so much that I didn't really think Pokemon to purify maybe I should just all that trade in and cheese a bit. I enjoyed that part of the game so much that I didn't really think to maybe I should just trade in.
It's funny because like Pokemon was super
popular.
Like obviously,
It still fucking is.
I know
they sell Ultra Sun
and
and Ultramoon millions of copies.
It's funny because like Pokemon was super popular,
but for whatever reason,
like, I don't remember many people being
like
super psyched about
Ultra Sun
Coliseum.
and
I'm not
Ultramoon
saying it was a
millions
bad
of
game.
copies.
I just like when I worked at the store, there just
for whatever
reason I don't remember many people being
like
a new
super
Game Boy
psyched
game
about
coming out.
Coliseum.
I'm not saying it was a bad game. I just like when I worked at the store, there just wasn't
many of them. But like Coliseum
that
for whatever
buzz as
reason,
like a new Game Boy game coming out.
Sold a
People
special
would
edition
fucking
GameCube,
freak out and come in and buy so many of them. But like Coliseum for whatever reason,
basically
people
of
didn't. I
Coliseum.
remember they sold a special edition GameCube.
Was that? Hold on.
That
I don't know if I'm thinking of the
in
same
the middle
game.
circle
was
the cover basically of Coliseum.
Darkness. Yeah.
Was that?
Yeah.
Hold
That's
on.
what I thought.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm thinking of the same game. Is that the XD?
Like I said, for whatever reason, like Nintendo had a special edition GameCube.
Yeah. That's what I thought.
Yeah, that one was.
I just don't remember.
Like I said, for whatever reason, like
Nintendo had a special edition.
Not even shitting on it. I just
never played it. But
like,
when
I just don't remember because I'm trying to think of what it was
then.
Not even shitting on it. I just never played it. But like, so I think it was
it was
Silver because I'm trying to think of what it was
at that point.
Because obviously Silver and Gold happened
Ruby and
already.
Sapphire, those are the ones like around that time.
Yeah, it was up to Ruby and Sapphire at that point.
That's what it was. Yeah, Ruby and Sapphire, those are the ones like around that time. For whatever reason, they loved the Game Boy versions, but then I remember playing.
Maybe Nintendo hasn't made a home console version because the last one didn't sell as well.
For whatever reason, they love the Game Boy versions, but then like
maybe Nintendo hasn't made a home console version because the last one didn't sell as well.
I don't know,
the game store worked at.
Yeah, I mean,
you could try games before you buy them.
The Game Boy versions never slowed down.
I also remember
let me try that
there
one.
used to be kids because
the game store worked
what
at.
fucking Pokemon are on it.
You could
try
that
games before you buy
just
them.
because they were used
so
games.
There was
so they were like,
that were just like, let me try that one.
See what Pokemon are on there just so they can buy a specific one.
Let me try that one.
Just because they were used games, so they were like,
they're all the same cost.
Checking to see what Pokemon are on there just so they can buy a
specific
one. I'm like, all right, people did that all the time.
Whatever.
Did you?
They're all the same cost.
Something my son does
for ones that had awesome
Pokemon.
Did you buy
Ruby and Sapphire?
People did that all the time.
So I got Sapphire and my brother got
something
Ruby.
my son does, which I never
did.
Did you buy Ruby and Sapphire and play both?
My son, so I got Sapphire
for whatever
and my
reason, he's
brother
like,
got
I want
Ruby.
Sun and Moon.
That's
I'm
how
like,
we
there
did
you
it.
go. Why?
That's how you're supposed to fucking do it.
My son,
the stories
for
are
whatever
so
reason, he's like,
similar.
I want Sun
You're
and
talking-
Moon. I'm like, why?
10?
Like
15
that's
Pokemon
just
that
so,
might be different?
The stories are so
I mean, it
similar.
might be more now.
You're
but
talking.
like, back then, it wasn't much.
What,
and I'm
10?
like, you want to play
15
both
Pokemon
these
that
games
might be different?
completely
I mean, it might be
through?
more now, but like
And he said, yeah.
back then, it
so-
wasn't much. And I'm like,
All right,
you want to
kid.
play both
Whatever,
these
that's gonna
games
count as another Christmas present for
completely
me,
through. that I have to get you.
And he said,
but
yeah, so.
Yeah, man, like,
I
right,
never
kid.
did that.
Like,
whatever,
you did
that's
it right,
going to count as another
that's
Christmas
what you
present
do.
for
You get a
me,
buddy
but
or a
that
brother.
I have to get
like,
you.
my
But
sisters didn't give a shit about
yeah,
Pokemon.
man, like,
I had to go to a
never
buddy,
did
like,
that. Like,
what
you
are
did it
getting?
right, though.
Cool.
That's what you do.
I'm
You
gonna
get a buddy
the other
or
one.
a brother.
We're good.
Like, my
And we
sisters
can
didn't give a shit about
shit that we
Pokemon.
need to do.
I had to go to a buddy.
Yeah,
Like,
it was-
what are you getting?
Yeah, that
cool.
was it was
I'm
a
gonna
very
get the other
smart
one.
thing that
We're
Nintendo
good.
did with
and we can
those
trade and do all the
games,
shit that we need.
even
to do.
dating all the way
Yeah,
back
it was
to
their original debut.
That
like,
was
with
it was
the
a very
red and
smart
blue.
thing that Nintendo did with those games. Even dating all the way back to
they knew what they were
original
doing.
debut, like with the red and blue.
They did, and I mean the best thing though is like that
Like,
was definitely
yeah,
the type
it-
of game that encouraged
they
you
knew what
to
they were doing.
be social with other people.
They
Like,
did, and I mean the best
you
thing
know,
though is like
most-
that
I
was
would
definitely
say
the type
a
of game
really
that
big
encouraged you
say a
to
majority of the
be
people
social with
for
other
Game Boy,
people.
Game Boy
Like,
Color, Game Boy Advance.
yeah,
had a
most.
Pokemon
I would
game.
say
it's not like there's many
really
people
big
that had
guess
that
and say a
system
majority of the
that
people
didn't have a
for
Pokemon
Game Boy,
Like,
Game Boy
that's
Color, Game Boy Advance
completely
had a
ridiculous
Pokemon
thing.
game. It's not like there was
You don't
many
have
people that
any
had that
Pokemon
system
games, but
that
you have a Game Boy.
didn't have a Pokemon
So
game.
for
Like,
them
that's
to have that
completely
and
ridiculous
have
to
that
think.
kind of social
You
interaction
don't
was
have
awesome.
any
It got
Pokemon
way
games, but
better
you
when
have
the
a Game
DS
Boy.
happened because shit
So
was wireless.
for them to have
but
that
still, like,
and have that kind of
the
social
worst was, like,
interaction was
you got a
awesome.
link cable?
It got way better when the
No.
DS happened because shit was
I don't
wireless.
like cable.
But still, like the worst was like,
Did you
got
have
a
one just
link
like at
cable?
the ready?
Oh,
Like,
yes.
No,
I got one.
I
Let's
always
go.
like cable.
Did you ever get into any of the other Pokemon
Did you have
stuff?
one just like
Card
at the
game,
ready, like
yes.
cartoon?
I
all
got
that
one.
jazz?
I had
Let's go.
I watched the cartoon.
Did you ever
as a
get
kid.
into
I
any of the other
kinda didn't,
Pokemon
like,
stuff?
as I
Card
grew up,
game,
but,
cartoon,
I
all
also
that jazz.
recently got. I watched the
I think 2 or
cartoon
3
as a
years
kid.
ago,
I
I
got
kinda
into a
didn't
kick with
like
the
as I
cards.
grew up, but,
I got a few pretty rare
I
cards
also
that I'm recently got.
that I'm
like,
shopping
I think
around
2 or
right
3
now,
years ago,
but-
I got into a kick
Yeah,
with the cards.
I never
got
really
a few
played
pretty
the
rare
card game.
cards that I'm
that
that
I'm
I'm
not
shopping
that
around
really
right now.
appealed to me.
I've
Yeah,
tried.
I never really
into
played the
collectible
card
games,
game.
but it just doesn't. The whole
It's
deck
just
building
not a thing
thing
that
just
really
doesn't appeal to me. It's
I've
not a thing
tried
that I enjoy
to
doing.
get
into collectible card games,
Right.
but it just doesn't.
Yeah,
the whole
because
deck
I remember
building
it's
thing
funny
just
is like
doesn't.
so many people didn't play the
It's
card
not a
game
thing that I
until
enjoy
they actually
doing.
came out with the Pokemon
Right.
trading card game.
Yeah, like,
because
like,
I remember it's
it
funny
taught
is like
them
so
through
many
a
people
video
didn't
game
play
how
the
to play
card
people were
game
like, oh,
until
shit,
they
that's
actually
actually a
came
fun
out
game.
with the
So
Pokemon
then that's
trading
how
card
some
game.
people got started.
And then like it taught
That's
them
fun.
through a video game how to
So
play.
then
and people were
obviously,
like, oh shit, that's actually a
Game
fun
Boy
game.
Advance,
So then that's how
GameCube,
some people
PlayStation
got started,
2,
but
and
well,
then
that's fine. You moving forward.
So then
you went to
obviously,
360.
Game Boy
but
Advance,
we did get
GameCube,
a
PlayStation 2.
3 later in the
And then
later in the
you
cycle.
moving forward, you went to 360.
Yeah,
we played
but we
primarily
did get
360,
a
this is kind of
PlayStation
where,
3 later in
gaming
the
really opened up,
later in the
like,
cycle.
different groups of
but yeah,
people at
we
school
played
primarily
primarily
because
360, and this is kind of where
I
gaming
played
really
soccer,
opened up.
but I wasn't
like
necessarily a jock.
different groups of people
but all the
at school
guys
for me
played Call of
because
Duty, and they wanted to
I-
play Call of Duty with me.
I played
because
soccer,
I was
but
good.
I wasn't necessarily a jock.
Right.
But all the
And so,
jocks
like,
played
it
Call
kinda
of
opened
Duty,
up an
and
avenue
they
for me
wanted
there.
to play Call of
So,
Duty
like,
with
yeah,
me
that-
because I
that
was
was
good.
a
Good healthy thing
Right.
that happened for me, and so like it
That
kind
always
of
opens up
opened
some
it up
avenues
for
for
me
me.
there.
Modern
So,
Warfare
like,
1,
yeah, that was,
yes.
that was a
Yeah.
good
It
healthy
was-
thing that happened
Dude,
for me.
so good.
That game,
Right.
Fucking
Was it
blew
Modern
up
Warfare 1?
So
Oh,
quickly,
yes.
and it's
Yep.
just like
Yeah.
out of
It was
nowhere because
Dude,
people
so
forget
that game,
like, Call of Duty 2
fucking
and Call of
blew
Duty 3
up
came out
so quickly,
and it's just like out of
that
nowhere. 'Cause
popular.
Not
People
saying they weren't
forget,
good games.
like, Call of
they
Duty
just
2
weren't
and
that
Call of Duty
popular.
3
And
came
as soon as
out,
they went,
and they weren't.
we're not doing World War II
that
anymore. We're
popular.
going modern. Not saying they weren't
Then
good
literally
games.
people
They
were
just
like,
weren't
what's
that
this
popular.
about?
And then
And
as soon as they
then-
went,
Yeah, that shit.
we're not doing World War
my
II
God.
anymore. We're going modern.
Back when it was good,
then literally
kill
people were like,
streaks.
"What's this
That's it.
about?"
Mhm.
And then
Yeah, that
good
shit.
maps.
Oh my God.
Now,
Back when it was
Black
good,
Ops is,
you know,
or
3
Black-
kill streaks.
whatever the newest
World
one
War
is.
II
That's it.
now.
Stupid.
They
Yeah,
World War II.
good
Yeah,
maps.
fuck it. They went back.
Now,
That was
fucking
the
Black Ops is
funniest
or Black-
shit.
whatever
when
the
I
newest
saw
one is.
all
World War
of
II
that
now.
happening.
They-
because
World War II. Yeah, that
PS2
fuck
era.
It. They
it
went
was
back.
Vietnam and
That
World War
was
II.
the
All
funniest
day.
shit when
All
I
day.
saw all of that
And then
happening
people were like,
because
we want
PS2
modern shit.
era. It was
So then they
Vietnam
go
and World War
modern.
II.
All
And then
day.
people are like, well,
All
modern
day.
shit's played out. Let's go
And then
future.
people were like,
and then they do
we want
Titanfall,
modern
Infinite
shit.
Warfare,
So then
all
they
this
go
shit.
modern.
And then
people are like,
fuck it,
well,
go
modern
back.
shit's played out. Let's go
Like, we gotta
future.
go back to
And then
some
they
shit
do
that people
Titanfall,
enjoy.
Infinite Warfare,
So,
all this shit.
I'm just waiting for
And
Vietnam
then they're
to
like,
happen.
fuck it, go
because
back.
I'm sure it'll
Like,
be
we
around
gotta
the
go back
corner.
to some shit that people enjoy. So
I don't know what.
I'm just waiting for Vietnam to
now
happen.
Call of Duty's not
because
it's
I'm
Black Ops
sure it'll be
4.
around
Yeah.
the corner.
Who knows what that's going to be?
I don't know
who
what
the fuck knows what that's
because
going to be.
now Call of Duty's not it's Black Ops 4.
Battlefields
Yep.
isn't
Who knows what that's going to be?
doing
Yeah, who the fuck
a
knows
World
what that's
War-
going to be?
They just said the new Battlefield.
Battlefield
They didn't say if it was going to be World War I,
isn't
World War II.
doing.
Think so?
Yeah, it's
A World War-
just to
they just
catch
said the
up.
new
Yeah,
Battlefield
they're-
game. They didn't say
it's
if it was going to be
gonna
World
be.
War
I'm
One or
pretty
World
sure
War
there
II.
was a It's leak. gonna be. Not
Think so?
yeah,
It's
in March.
just to catch
of that.
up.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I'm
I'm
pretty
pretty
sure
sure there was a leak. Not. I
There you
think
go.
in March.
For me,
of that.
What's funny is I was more intrigued
I'm
in
pretty sure
World
it's
War
a
I,
World War II
because
game.
there really wasn't too many games back then that focused on that. For me, what's funny is I was more intrigued in World War I,
how
because there really wasn't too many games back then that focused on that. More interesting than two. So to focus on that era with like how primitive shit was back in World War I. This is fresh. And I found that more interesting than two. But also too, I've already played World War II games, so it's like. This is new. This is fresh. And Titanfall was that's how I felt about Titanfall until fucking Call of Duty ruined it. So everybody's just like, Call of Duty. Super futuristic. Titanfall was such a fun game. Fucking grappling hooks. Let's just do all this shit. Everybody's just like super futuristic. Wall running, jetpacks. People enjoy what they're going to enjoy. That's fucking grappling hooks. Let's just do all this shit. So you mentioned. So was it mostly? It's okay. I mean, around people enjoy what they're going to enjoy. Had your gaming taste changed then to the point where you're just like? But then you like. So you mentioned. So was it mostly that type of stuff? Around that time, had your gaming taste changed then to the point where you're just like
Call of Duty, when I
Call
was
of Duty
playing that,
shooters online, that type of stuff.
Not really, because Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion. Alongside Call of Duty, when I wasn't playing that, I was playing
over 800 hours played
Oblivion. Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion.
Jesus Christ.
I will tell you right now,
so
I have
many.
over 800 hours played in Oblivion.
There's no online.
Jesus
Christ.
I was exploring every
so
nook and cranny of that video game.
There's no online.
There isn't. I was exploring every nook and cranny of that video game. I haven't done at least every cave. I sure don't think there's a quest I haven't
800
done
hours.
More than,
like I have that much time in
done
online games.
Twice.
I don't think I've ever. I sure fucking hope not. Not saying 800 hours. Like I have that much time in online games. I don't think I've ever played a single player game that much. Not saying any aren't worth it. Oh, but that's a lot. Yeah, I was gonna say like that's so. That's a lot. You just there's games like that though that you can just run. All about it. Yeah, I was gonna say like that's so. You get there's games like that though that you can just run and.
Got into Oblivion.
People, it doesn't matter how many times you beat it, how long you've played it, people still enjoy it. So
do you want to know how I got into Oblivion?
Yes.
MMO. Oh my goodness! So
I got it, and then after
Final
the first
Fantasy
couple
XI was
coming in,
my dad didn't know that it was a subscription-based MMO.
Play something else.
I got it, and then after the first couple of subscriptions coming in, he was like, "No, I'm cutting you off of this. You're going to play something else. Let's play that." And I was like, "Okay." And then this looks. It just went from there. RPG. I was like, let's play that. Wow. Yeah. It was. And I was like, Oblivion did very special things to me. It just went like from there. My mind to like open world. Kind of games and like what games. Oblivion did very special things to me about like opening my mind to like open world. Might be kind of like games and like what games can be. Games that I've played and like growing up. I honestly think that it might be just the way that like one of the most important games that I've played. Video games like growing up as a medium for entertainment. It just is just the way that it impacted me as like thinking about video games as a medium for entertainment.
Being a big fucking deal when it came out. That's absolutely. I mean, again, everybody has their games, and I didn't play. I remember that game again, like at that time, being a big fucking deal when it came out. It was like Halo, a lot of people, because I mean, Gears. Like I didn't play and online. Like again, like at that time where. It was like Halo changed when that point happened. Gears, Modern Warfare, like Halo 3, shooters, and online. Like I said, I was just that's kind of where games were out. I was my taste in gaming changed when that point happened. And Modern Warfare, Halo 3. Gears of War, which is probably why I all those games were out. I was just fucking into that and that. Oblivion, like, that was my whole thing. People had played Morrowind, which is probably why I enjoy Xbox so much. The original Xbox, but that shit wasn't Oblivion when that shit came out, because people had played Morrowind like a staple game. Like when people came into the game store and bought the original Xbox, because that shit wasn't out for PS2. One of those games that you and I remember that being like a staple game. Like when people came into the game store and bought an Xbox, and at the time that was like one of those games that you fucking bought, because people were just like, "This game's good, man." I don't think I got it. And at the time, I wasn't as into RPGs, and it was so big and so vast. I was just like, so I never played it. Man, I don't think I have time to put time into this as well as the other games that I really want to play. All that shit. So I never played it. I'm not into. Not saying it's bad. For me, the setting I tried of dragons and elves and all that shit, I personally am not into. Tried it and I was like, not saying it's bad. I tried. It's good. I didn't try Oblivion. I tried Skyrim a little. I really did. I tried it and I was like, this is cool. Okay. Gameplay's good. Well, that's basically this. This was in a different setting. I'd be a little happier. Modern. When Fallout happened, I was like, okay. So Fallout's basically this with guns in a
guns,
quote-unquote modern-esque
explosions
time.
It's
so
50s culture in a post-apocalypse.
somewhat. I mean, there's guns.
Right, so that's what I'm saying.
And
it's like
there's explosions. And
I mean,
It's
there's
50s culture in a post-apocalypse.
some people prefer Fallout, some people prefer Elder Scrolls.
Right, so that's what I'm saying. It's like
modern-esque.
they were going with it, though,
I mean,
like
but
said,
that's why,
people
like,
play the
some
fuck
people
out of
prefer Fallout, some people prefer Elder Scrolls. I definitely get what they were going with it, though, because, like I said, people play the fuck out of Fallout 4.
Because they'll
like,
the
fuck out of it. As
you're
soon as the
looking at
next
one of
Elder
them.
Scrolls game releases, people will fucking lose jobs
your
because they'll
streaming
probably
is
just
gonna
play
go
that
up,
all the time.
Your productivity is
Right,
going to go
you're looking
down
at one
to,
of
like,
them.
everything else that needs attention.
Like,
It's just as soon
your
as that gets
streaming is going to go
released,
up.
Yeah,
your
which, I
productivity
mean-
is going to go down to like.
Can we just say
everything else that needs
attention?
attention? It's just as soon as that gets released.
I'm not
so
sure.
It has to be.
yeah,
announced.
which I mean,
it has to be.
I think
a fucking.
so.
Can we just say this
They
year it's
also
going to get
have this
announced?
Other new IP that they're I'm kicking not around. sure.
It has to be announced.
I think
Right. It has to be
I think
a fucking name.
They also
that's
have
the
this
thing.
other new IP
I don't
that they're
think-
kicking around.
As much as
Right.
I'd love to see
and
another Elder Scrolls,
I'm almost
I think
thinking that that's the thing.
they're satisfied
I don't think
with
Right.
the output on Elder Scrolls
As much
Online,
as
and
I'd
that's
love to
its
see
own
another
thing.
Elder
And
Scrolls,
I
think
played,
that
I played
they're
say,
satisfied
like,
with the
80
output
hours of
on
that.
Elder
And,
Scrolls
like,
Online,
it's-
and that's
it's
its
a
own
fine
thing.
game
And
for what
sure,
it
I
is.
played
I'm not
I played
too into its take on MMOs.
I want to say like 80 hours
So,
of that,
like,
and
not
like
for me.
it's a fine game
But
for
I-
what
I'm
it is.
thinking
I'm not
Bethesda
too
Studios
into its take
has
on
their,
MMOs, so
has
that's
their
not
new
for me.
come out this year.
But I'm thinking
also,
Bethesda
that
Studios
Walmart leak today
has their
Yeah, I was just going
has
to
their
mention
new
that
IP
Walmart
come
leak.
out
2 coming from
this year.
id.
But also that Walmart
Not
leak
trying to be
today.
mean, but who the fuck asked?
Yeah,
for
I was
that?
just going to mention that Walmart leak.
Rage 2 coming from id.
Rebooted Doom. I'm in for whatever.
Not
they
trying to
wanna
be
make
mean,
next.
but who the fuck asked for that?
If it's a sequel,
Like,
though,
after
to
what
Rage,
they did with
I
the
mean, like,
rebooted
Rage
Doom,
was supposed to
I'm
be the
in
biggest
for whatever
shit.
they
Like,
wanna
oh my
make
God,
next.
This is a new IP, and it's gonna.
If it's a sequel, though, to Rage, because I mean, like, Rage was supposed to be the biggest shit. Like, oh my God, this is a new IP, and it's gonna be. And I just remember people playing it, and we were like,
And then,
it was
like,
really
the Walmart
pretty,
leak happened,
like
and I was like,
really fucking
Rage
pretty.
2?
But like, I don't remember people lighting the world
then.
on fire for Rage.
Of course.
And then
in
like the
4K
Walmart leak
and
happened, and I was like,
all that
Rage
shit. I'm sure it's gonna
2.
look fucking
Okay,
ridiculous. Like, it's
then.
gonna look amazing.
Of course,
Let's just see it.
in
I hope
4K
people
and
give a
id
shit
tech
about it.
and
Did
all
you
that
see,
shit,
though,
I'm
how
sure it's gonna
the
look
Rage-
fucking
it's
ridiculous.
fantastic.
Like it's gonna look amazing.
It's fucking great.
Let's just
And
see.
then-
I hope people
and then
give a shit about.
Bethesda's
Did you see
Twitter's
though
just
how
like,
the Rage
dude,
like
it's-
Twitter?
it's
And literally, they
fantastic.
just put out a tweet that just
It's
said,
fucking
dude.
great.
Like,
And then
what the fuck,
and then
man? Why are you
Bethesda's Twitter's
talking?
just
He's
like,
Walmart
dude.
fucking leaked it. Why
It
not?
literally they just put out a tweet that just said,
that Walmart
dude.
leak-
Like,
Yes.
what the
It's so
fuck,
funny
man?
because
Why are
there's,
you
like,
talking?
just
He's like,
clearly
Walmart
shit
fucking
on
leaked
there
it. Why
that's
not?
What? Like
that Walmart
Forza
leak-
Horizon 5.
It's so funny
Like,
because
that's
there's
the
like
name.
just
Or there's, like,
clearly
Gears
shit
5,
on
and
there
I'm like,
that's just
well, yeah, we know
what?
those
Like
are happening, but
Forza
then, like, yeah,
Horizon
Rage 2,
5,
and I was like,
like
oh.
that's just
You
the
know,
name. Or there's
That's
like Gears
literally
5,
not-
and I'm like,
I could not have
well,
imagined.
yeah, we
that.
know those
Bethesda
are happening,
accounts
but then
for
like, yeah, the Rage 2 one, I was like,
to play
oh,
into
You know,
the God of War
that's
hype. They
literally
should've-
not. I
instead of
could
Dude,
not
they
have
should've
imagined
wrote
that
the
happening.
Bethesda
I
account missed an
literally,
Yeah,
opportunity
boy.
there to play into the God of War hype. And
I
they should
thought
have,
it, like, dude,
instead of dude, they should have
really
wrote
did.
boy.
But no, it's so funny.
Yeah,
'cause
boy.
If you go look at that tweet, the very first response.
I
below it is
thought it like,
Bethesda's
dude,
official
they
Twitter
really
account
did.
just
But
going,
no,
dude.
it's so funny because
Like,
if you go
in
look
caps,
at that
like,
tweet, the
why?
very first
Like,
response
he's like,
below it
what
is
the fuck,
Bethesda's
man? Why are you
official
saying-
Twitter
I like how
account
they
just
just,
going,
the box
dude,
art's not right, the
like
font's
in
not right,
caps,
the
like
A doesn't
why?
have a little anarchy
Like, it's
symbol.
like,
You
what the
guys fucked
fuck,
up. You
man?
guys
Why are
should
you
fix
saying?
this.
I like how they just the
Yeah,
box
that's the
art's
thing
not
is,
right,
like,
the
every
font's
year
not
when
right, the
Bethesda's
A
like, we're
doesn't
gonna
have a
have a
little
conference,
anarchy
I'm like,
symbol. You
the
guys
fuck are
fucked
you
up.
gonna
You guys should
announce?
fix this.
What are you gonna show? And then
Yeah, that's the thing is like
they show
every year when
shit. I'm like,
Bethesda's like,
oh,
we're gonna have a conference. I'm
okay.
like, the fuck are
That's-
you gonna
that-
announce?
You guys actually have enough.
What
for
are
a
you gonna
conference.
show? And then
I actually was gonna.
they
mention
show shit,
how
and I'm like, oh.
I appreciated
Okay,
how Bethesda
that's
treated
that. You guys
Fallout
actually
4,
have enough for a
'cause they
conference.
straight were like,
I actually
hey,
was going to mention
this
how
shit's coming out in 6
I appreciated
months,
how
and
Bethesda
there's
treated
no-
Fallout 4
You know,
because
we're
they
not
straight
gonna
were
talk about it
like,
for 2
hey,
years.
this
We're
shit's
not gonna
coming
do this
out
shit.
in 6 months.
Here's your game,
and
here's your
there's
name.
no.
You'll play it in 6
You know,
months.
we're not going to
Have
talk
a
about
good
it for
day.
2 years.
And that's why
We're not going to do any of this shit.
technically
Here's
they
your
could do
game.
that with a,
Here's your
an
name.
Elder Scrolls game.
You'll play it in
that-
6
what they
months.
did
Have a
you
good
have to
day.
have development.
And
Set
that's
up an
why
expectation that you're supposed to be in
technically
suspense
they
for
could
what
do that
might
with
say
an
at
Elder
E3.
Scrolls
The thing is that what they did
But
there
you have
is
to
set
have
up-
development
well,
time
set
for
up
that.
an
Because, like I
expectation
said, I
that you're supposed to be in
prefer
suspense for what they might say at E3.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, and it's good because, like I said, I
3-4
prefer
years
games
this game's going to be, and it
be
comes out
announced
and
how
it's-
that was instead
Okay.
of fucking telling me
I'm looking at you, Death
for
Stranding. That game will never
3-4
live up
years
to
how
any of the
good this
hype.
game's going to be, and it comes out
It
and
might
it's
make a good movie.
people are okay. Yeah,
I'm looking at you,
exactly.
Death Stranding.
Like,
That game will
just
never
fucking
live up
make
to
a
any
movie
of the hype.
already. Like, I'm
ever.
not saying
It might
it's gonna
make
be
a
bad
good
game.
movie.
It's just the problem is you cannot
Yeah,
talk
exactly.
about a game and
Like,
talk about
just
a game.
fucking
and
make a
talk about
movie
game and
already.
talk about
Like,
a game.
I'm not
For
saying it's going to be a
years.
bad game. It's
And
just
people
the
are gonna
problem
play it and
is you
expect it to be the
cannot
second
talk
coming
about a
of
game
Jesus.
and
And
talk
if it's
about a game and
anything
talk about a
less
game
than
and
that,
talk
people are
about a
gonna fucking
game
get mad.
for years.
Just stop.
And then people are
Just
going to play it and
have
expect it to be the second
expectations,
coming
like,
of Jesus. And if it's
it'll come out
anything
whenever.
less than
I
that,
don't
people are
know
going to
why
fucking get
anyone-
mad.
They're even showing Beyond
Just
Good
stop.
and Evil
Just
at this point.
have expectations.
Like, why
Like,
are they showing
eh,
anything?
it'll come
I
out
don't know
whenever.
why-
Kingdom-
I don't know why
stop.
anyone why
I've
they're
been-
even
you know
showing
what, though?
Beyond Good and
Here's how I've
Evil at
learned
this
Kingdom
point.
Hearts 3.
Like, why are they
Yep.
showing anything
How
from
many
that?
years
fuck,
has it
man?
been? A decade?
Stop. I've been, you know what though?
it has been.
Here's how I've learned
I
this.
bought
Kingdom
a
Hearts 3.
PS3 with the hopes that Kingdom Hearts
How
3
many
would
years
fucking
has it been? A
come out.
decade?
And it never
Eight?
did.
Yeah, no, it has
And
been.
then I've
I
owned
bought a
these
PS3
consoles for,
with the
what,
hopes
this
that
year,
Kingdom
it'll be
Hearts
4
3 was
years.
going to come out on it.
I
And it
still
never
fucking
did.
think it's gonna be out
And
this year.
then I've owned these consoles for,
I've
what,
gotten
this
to the
year it'll
point
be
where I'm
4
done.
years.
I'm just like,
I still don't fucking think
care.
it's going to be
When
out
I
this
see
year.
it on a shelf,
Um,
and I can go buy it.
I've gotten to the
I'll
point
be
where
like,
I'm
cool,
done.
this game's out.
I'm just like,
I'm done. I
I
can't
don't
believe
fucking
release
care.
dates.
When I
The
see it on a
fucking voice
shelf,
actor of Goofy
and I can
is
go
like,
buy
it's
it,
coming out in 2017.
I'll be
And I'm
like, cool, this
Goofy, you're a
game's out.
fucking liar.
I'm done.
This game
I
is
can't
not
believe
coming out
release
in
dates.
2017.
The fucking voice
And they're
actor of
saying
Goofy is
coming-
like, it's
they-
coming out in
it was a big deal when
2017.
they
And I'm like,
updated
Goofy,
their
you're a
Facebook
fucking
because it
liar.
says coming
This game is
soon.
not coming
I'm
out in 2017.
What
And
is
they're
the
saying
Square Enix
coming.
definition of soon?
It was a big deal when they updated their
Fucking
Facebook
3
because it
years.
says coming soon. I'm
There
like,
will be adults.
I don't
What is
believe
the
you guys.
Square Enix
Born
definition of
after
soon?
Kingdom Hearts 2.
fucking 3 years.
Yeah. It's
There will be
ridiculous.
adults
And then same
who
thing
don't
with,
who were born after
Hey, Pep.
Kingdom Hearts 2.
Yeah,
came down.
it's
She was just like,
ridiculous.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
it's
it's
so
really
bad.
cool.
And then same thing with.
and then also
Hey,
games like fucking Final Fantasy VII Remake.
She came down. She's just like, hey, I
What?
want to say hi to you.
What are you doing?
And then also
Why are you showing
games
a
like
game?
fucking Final Fantasy VII
Don't worry,
Remake.
it'll be episodic.
What?
Because we didn't make this episodic.
What are
This
you
shit will
doing?
Come out on PlayStation.
Why are
6.
you showing a
Like,
game? And then now they're like, oh, don't
You
worry,
have
it'll
to
be
do
episodic
to
because
get-
we didn't make
and
this
what does that-
episodic.
what
This
does
shit
that
would come
mean?
out on
Like,
PlayStation
disc 1
6.
from back
Like,
in the day is going to be the first
there-
episode.
You have
And
to do
that will still
episodic to
come out in
get.
2020.
And what does that? What does that mean?
Maybe.
Like disc 1 from back in the day is
I'm
going to be
over
the
the
first
whole
episode,
Releasing
and that
just
will
don't-
still
just
come out
don't
in
talk about
2020.
shit. Just stop.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Mentioning things.
I don't know.
Until
I'm over
you're
the
ready
whole
to show it and release it.
releasing.
Ubisoft,
Just
in
don't
a
talk about
way,
shit.
learned that
Just stop
because they did that with Watch
mentioning
Dogs
things
2.
until
They
you
were
are
like,
ready
hey,
to show it and release it.
there's Watch Dogs 2, there's some
Ubisoft,
cool shit.
in a
It's gonna
way,
come out this
learned
year.
that because they
Appreciate
did that
that.
with Watch
Keep that
Dogs
shit
2.
up. But then
They were
fucked
like,
up and they're
hey,
like, here's Beyond Good and
here's
Evil
Watch
2,
Dogs
and
2. Here's
everybody's
some
like,
cool
oh my
shit.
God, I'm so
It's going to
happy.
come
And
out
I'm like,
this year.
cool. Have fun playing
Appreciate
that.
that. Keep that shit up.
When?
But then they fucked up and they were like, here's Beyond
We'll
Good and
figure it
Evil
out.
2. And everybody's like, oh my
So,
God, I'm so happy. And I'm like, cool.
obviously,
Have fun playing that.
Oblivion,
When?
Call of Duty
I don't know.
shooters, all that
We'll
stuff.
figure it out.
Led to what
So,
now? What are your gaming habits?
obviously,
now?
So
Oblivion,
it's very strange.
Call of Duty
how
shooters,
it's
all that
mapped
stuff
to what I play
led
now,
to what
'cause,
now?
this
What are your
week was a
gaming
big
habits
week
like
for
now?
me.
Goodness.
Actually,
So
this
it's very
this year has been a
strange
pretty
how
big year
it's
for me,
mapped to what I play now.
'cause
Because
Battletech,
this week was a big week for me. Actually,
Battletech
this
has been, like, my
this
main
year has been
thing
a
that
pretty
I've been
big year
playing.
for me.
Like, prior to this podcast, I was
Because
just
BattleTech,
finishing up some contracts. and
BattleTech
stuff
has been
and
like my
like,
main thing that
the
I've been
whole
playing.
strategy
Like
game
prior to this
stuff
podcast, I was
is
just
big on me right
finishing
now.
up some contracts
Also,
and
Pillars
stuff
of
and that,
Eternity
and
2 is a
like
game that I want to
the
get
whole
to, like,
strategy
as
game
soon as
stuff
I can.
is big on me right
like,
now.
my
Also, Pillars of
taste is so
Eternity 2 is a
broad
game
right
that
now.
I want to
play
get
so
to
many
like
different games.
as soon
It's-
as I can.
It doesn't
And
matter.
right.
like
a lot
my
of this stuff doesn't
my
map to
taste is
stuff
so
'cause it's
broad right
like,
now. I play
just
so many
started
different
trying these
games.
things,
It's
like Persona.
it doesn't map.
Persona
Like
5
a lot
was
of
my
the
first
stuff doesn't
Persona.
map to stuff because it's like
Jesus
I
Christ,
just
dude.
started
And
trying these things.
I
Like
played
Persona,
Resident
I
Evil
started.
7 all
Persona
in
5 was my
VR.
first Persona.
Like VR's a thing for me now.
Jesus Christ, dude.
And
Did
I
you-
played
did
Resident
you
Evil
fucking have to go
7
to a
all in
therapist
VR.
afterwards?
Like
Well,
VR's a thing for me
I
now that
probably
I
should have
play.
gone to a doctor because after
Did you
like 3 or
did
4
you
hours of
fucking have to go to
exposure
a
VR,
therapist afterwards?
I
Well,
take the headset off
I
and
probably
feel
should have gone to a
physically ill.
doctor because after like 3 or
Yeah,
4 hours
that's
of
the
exposure to
single
VR, I
problem
take the headset off and I feel physically ill.
Like on Sundays,
Yeah, that's the single problem I have with VR is because gaming, when I game, like on Sundays, that's my day that I fucking sit and veg and do nothing to play games. You can't do that shit in VR for that long. Like your body is not meant for it yet. Of course, we'll evolve as humans to the point where we'll be able to play VR for 10 hours a day. Not now. Not with the screens they have. Not just you can't do that shit right now. So you actually like got to a point though. You'd play like a couple hours and you were feeling like physically sick.
Yes, like it didn't hit me until I took the headset off. But as soon as I did that, I had to lay down because like I could not like. I was all disoriented. It was hard to walk around, and
I tried VR.
my depth perception was all fucked.
I actually, what's funny is
wow.
I don't know if I tried VR. I haven't gotten one yet. I actually, what's funny is seeing super. I don't know if you follow Kind of Funny, but they have the PlayStation VR show where they showcase some VR stuff. And seeing Super Hot in VR made me fucking freak out because I love that game, and seeing it in VR just made me want to play it more. And then, of course, Diner, there's basically a game like Overcooked, except for it's in VR, which I'm all about. This is cool. But the whole VR thing, I played E-Valkyrie at a Best Buy demo, and I was like, this is cool. And I don't think most people would get sick off that game because you're sitting in a cockpit, you're not moving, you're sitting down stationary just looking around. It's like, those types of games are perfect in VR. Instead of having them jump around, I think those are the best. I would say the easiest way to ease somebody into it, instead of having them jump around a different map or moving with a controller while in VR, because that fucks some people up. But my brother-in-law straight could not handle that shit. As soon as he was done playing the E-Valkyrie demo, he got up and he's like, "Whoa!" He was fucked up, and I'm like, "Dude, I asked him, "You gonna buy one of those?" He's like, "No, not after that shit. I can't handle a 15-minute demo, dude. How am I supposed to play games in that?" I'm like, oh, but again, I think they're still learning that tech and figuring that out. Experience, but also I'm scared because it's like you just said. I mean, that's so cool. I definitely want to get one just to have that experience, but also I'm scared because it's like you just said. Your options are so vast, and I already have enough fucking problems playing God of War for an hour and going, but also too VR, kids around. That's probably a bad idea too, just because it's
accidentally whack a kid in the head.
Yeah, exactly. Not trying to hit my daughter in the face, not trying to piss my pants if my daughter comes up and touches me while I'm fucking playing VR. I do appreciate though that that's one of those that it's cool, but how their bundles are getting better. I'll think about it. I'll still want it. I do appreciate though that it's getting cheaper. I do appreciate Sony, how their bundles are getting better. Partnering with Bethesda for Doom and Skyrim for those bundles is fucking perfect, because that's games that people know, and they will. I have a buddy who loves Skyrim, and he found out Skyrim was in VR and fucking got all of it. He got a VR unit, got a PlayStation, got that. And he was talking about how he got fucking freaked out when he drowned.
Yeah,
he's like drowning, dude, because he can't swim in real life. Okay, so he got real fucking freaked out. He's like, bro, I was drowning and I was just fucking losing it for a minute, and then I had to take the headset off. I got really freaked out. I'm like, yeah, that sounds awful. Who the fuck wants to drown in VR?
Right,
like, no one does. There's nothing wrong with that. No one wants to do that shit. So obviously, your habits are all over the place now. Which is good though, because there's nothing wrong with that. Do you find it, dude? You fucking started playing Persona. What is wrong with you, dude? That's like 100 hours for the story alone. Like, if you go to howlongtobeat.com, that shit says 90 hours main story.
Hold on, let me bring up how long, because I think I played games that are longer than that. Let's search.
Well, yeah, you fucking played Oblivion for 800 hours. I'm just saying, if you go to howlongtobeat.com and you look at Persona 5, main story I think says 90 and a half hours. No, thank you. It's terrifying. As a guy who gets to play an hour of a chunk of game at a time, no, thank you. It's just it's that's so big. You gotta have some time for that.
Yeah,
that's so big.
Is that what it says? It's 95 and a half for that.
It'll probably, and if you did completionist, which is you, that's so big. If you look up Oblivion though, Game of the Year, it'll probably, and if you did completionist, which is you,
yes, 185 hours.
Some of those games, man, though, like, yeah, it's a good gauge. You only spent 4 times playing that, right? So person who just doesn't have it's okay. Time to play games. Yeah, some of those games, man, though, like, it's a good gauge for me at least, or as a person who just doesn't have as much time to play games. It is an excellent gauge to see how long a game is. And again, they should probably pay me for a sponsorship because I mentioned their website all day long, but yeah, and again, I'm in the opposite realm now where I'm like, inside is like 3 hours to beat. I'm like, fuck yeah, that's awesome. I could beat a game in maybe one sitting. This sounds like a good idea. Let's try that.
I like those games too. Like, shit, what was I playing earlier this year? Of course, there's the insides, but man, I'm struggling to think. But yeah, I play a lot of smaller games too. Like, I go out on itch.io sometimes and pick out some indie stuff and play that.
Shovelware, you didn't have the option to play like indie that's the cool thing too, is at least now, because back then you didn't. I mean, unless it was shovelware, you didn't have the option to play like indie games. You know, what I mean, they weren't available until 360, PS3. Yeah, that's when they started becoming super popular to the point where some of those indie, like Trials, is an indie game, quote unquote, and then Ubisoft bought them. But like Trials HD, I fucking love that game, and it was an Xbox Live Arcade game that was. People. I hate when people thought of games like that as less good or less valuable because they were cheaper, and I'm like, do you know what the fuck you're talking about? Because I could spend hours playing Trials HD, and that game is awesome, and it's $10. You know what I mean? Like, it was such a good deal. But Inside was really good too, and $20 game. You know.
I played like okay, so this year I played the Life is Strange stuff. Like,
yep,
and that's like episodic games are a cool way to like consume that stuff in easy manageable chunks. It's
yes. Walking Dead. Telltale puts out fucking so many of those now. They just churn them out. They have Batman, Walking Dead, which Walking Dead's finally ending. But they just crank that shit out. I only played the first season of Walking Dead. Otherwise, I have other games for like Games for Gold and stuff. Like I have other, I have Tales from the Borderlands. I have Walking Dead Season 2. Just haven't had a chance to play them. But those are, definitely games that you can play in chunks.
Freaking,
and that's the thing too.
A fantastic video game, What Remains of Edith Finch, I did in one sitting.
Yeah, that's the thing too. Is like some people, dude. Imagine if you told somebody there was a game on PlayStation 1 that was 2 hours long. People would be like, "What the fuck? I don't want to play that. I'm not paying money for that." Now there's games like that are that short that are awesome. They're really good. There's other games, just like random ass games like Unravel, fucking Yarny, little platformer. I was like, hey, this is a breath of fresh air, just a platformer and puzzles, and it's an indie game that takes 6 hours, and yay, it's I mean, there's games like that are always good for to change it up a bit instead of playing the same old shit.
Yeah, I think like more recently, I think within the last year, I've been playing more games that make me cry. Like What Remains of Edith Finch and Nier Automata, and like
you get those tearjerker games, bro. They're fucking sad, and that means you're an adult with feelings. Yeah. Congratulations.
I'm just looking through my trophies now to look at all the games that I've been playing recently, and man, it's a lot of tearjerkers. Like even Life is Strange Before the Storm. Yeah, that's a total freaking like just the whole Life is Strange saga is a whole emotional thing.
I'm trying to think of like I mean, there are moments. It's so stupid because there's certain games that made me cry that are just straight bro moments, like Gears of War 3. Fucking Dom, goddamn, and then Gears 2 with Dom's wife. I was like, Jesus Christ! But again, when I realized, it's funny because when I was younger, my dad and I made fun of him because I was a stupid kid that didn't realize what emotions were. My dad, for whatever reason, every time at the end of Home Alone, cried when the mom showed up and the kid was okay. Just cried, and I'm like, the fuck are you crying for? Like. What are you talking about? He's like, it's just, he would always like try to, say, shut up, stop looking. But again, it's like, as a parent now, I imagine if I left my kid thousands of miles away and I showed up and he was safe, I'd be crying my fucking eyes out too. So now I get it. And like certain games, like they hit that moment and you're just like, damn, that shit's sad. It's just sad. Like my daughter played The Last of Us. And there was parts of that where she was sad as shit. That first part of the movie, the first part of the game. It doesn't matter. But no, tell me you don't cry. Like you don't have a soul, or you're just a kid who doesn't have emotions. Whatever. It doesn't matter. But no, like again, the worst is when you're a parent and you see shit happen to kids. No bueno, man. You're just like, I can't deal with that shit, man. I'll start crying. But that's all right. Well, if people wanted to see you cry on streams, or see. You save those for the private moments, right? You don't stream those?
No, I've cried on stream before.
There you go. I mean, it's fine. Everybody has emotions. It's cool. If people wanted to check you out on PlayStation or catch you on Twitter or streaming, where would they go to check out all that?
Well, if you want to catch me crying on the internet, you can find me on pretty much any platform at the Arctic Sloth. I don't generally give out my PlayStation ID or my Xbox ID, stuff like that. I try to keep that on the DL. It does pop up on streams and stuff. I do stream at twitch.tv/thearcticsloth. I've slowed down recently, but I'm trying to pick up after this week. I think I'm going to start picking up streams. And I think this weekend I'm actually going to go play Rage because it's Xbox One backwards compatible. Just because I never played that game. I never played that game, so I kind of want to just try to understand where id will go with this.
Right. I wonder how many copies of Rage are going to get sold now this week just by them, Walmart fucking up and leaking it, but then Rage basically confirming, like, nah, you got us. Like, I wonder how many copies are going to get sold. That was always one thing that blew me away. When a game got announced for backward compatibility for Xbox, sales fucking exploded. Like, Black Ops 3, or Black Ops 2 charted again on NPD the month it got announced as backward compatible. I'm like, oh shit. Activision was real happy to make that happen. So, yeah. Well, again, if you guys want to check them out, go there. I'll have links in the show notes for everything. So if you want to check them playing Rage or occasionally crying on a stream, you can definitely check them out there. Dude, thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate you being on and sharing all your stories.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
All right. And again, thank you, Frank, for being on the show. If you guys want to check him out on Twitter, where you can see all of the above that he does, you can go ahead and follow him at The Arctic Sloth. So you can check him out there, where he has links to all of his wonderful things that he does. His twitch.tv/The Arctic Sloth. Again, occasionally you might catch him crying on a stream. Probably not, but, definitely go ahead and check him out there. If you guys want to be on the show just like he was, go ahead and send me a tweet at MitchPower1116 on Twitter, or at the podcast Twitter page, which is at GUG Podcast on Twitter. We also have a Facebook group, which is the Growing Up Gaming. Just search up Growing Up Gaming, and you'll find it there. Of course, on YouTube, you can also find it. Just search GUG Podcast in the search bar, and you'll be able to find it there as well, where we post each and every week with this show there as well for your listening pleasure. There's not much to look at. It's just the logo. So obviously I don't do the video side of things. Maybe one day, I definitely want to look into doing some special episodes with some video, maybe some streaming of some games that people grew up playing that I never played, so I can experience them as well. But whatever you guys have any ideas, go ahead and send me a tweet with your feedback, any positive feedback, or any constructive criticism. I'm down for that too. If you think there's something I could do to make the show better, please feel free to let me know there. Again, thank you guys so much for listening each and every week to the show, and I'll catch you guys next week. See ya.